What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at Data Dash, and today is May 10th of 2021. Well, folks, I hope you all are having a fantastic day wherever you are. And in today's video, we've got to talk about Ethereum breaking above to new all-time highs above $4,000, setting an official high around 4150 last time we checked it. And outside of this as well, I want to talk about why I believe we're at the later phase of ETH's first wave, meaning that we might be getting some sideways price action or correction in ETH here in the near future that will lead towards a lot of liquidity rush going into the small and mid cap space and the altcoin sector. We've got lots of things to discuss here, guys. Let's not go ahead and push off any longer here. Now, to preface this discussion here, as you all know, I've been a big ETH head for a while, whether it's on a fundamentals basis or price. But what's really interesting here is that we're finally starting to see the price appreciation here of Ethereum heavily outweighing Bitcoin. And we are seeing this in some other altcoins as well. Binance is still outperforming Bitcoin here. Dogecoin up 43%, Cardano 35%, now starting to keep up with Ethereum here after going silent for the last few months, right? We're now seeing here ETH raging forward and being the second largest crypto. This has a lot more magnitude than the movements of Doge or Cardano or Binance Coin because it is such a large cap cryptocurrency with a large fundamental ecosystem. It's been around, it's been time tested, right? So, anyways, Ethereum here again, as we kind of flipped bullish back in September of 2019, right, have been going on really this kind of sideways channel between $100 to $400 per coin. And we finally got the catalyst breakout here earlier on in March, where we got to break above the all-time highs in February. We made support on it and have now started off the euphoric parabolic rally that we've been waiting for a long time in Ethereum, where the supply and demand economics really start to kick in, where there's too little supply when it comes to ETH2 staking and ETH being staked in DeFi protocols, as well as a lot of people coming in to buy ETH as a strategic asset. Now, let's just go ahead and take a look at the chart that really matters, because the USD chart does matter to some degree when we're analyzing, again, for big even levels of resistance like $5,000, $10,000. But what really matters here is the ETH to BTC chart. This is where the smart money is watching Ethereum here. And again, there's a reason ETH is doing what it's doing right now. And it's because for the last couple of years, as we talked about, since we flipped bullish on ETH back in the fall of 2019, we started to have these higher highs and higher lows consecutively for Ethereum, higher significant highs and higher significant lows, right? And this is building into this almost kind of early stage parabolic or exponential pattern where price action started to go vertical. And we finally got that confirmation here where we've just been going extremely vertical here in the sense of price, breaking away on the upside portion of this kind of euphoric exponential line here. Now, what are some ranges we can watch for here? Because as you guys can see from the previous cycles, when we get moving like this, it tends to be that for the coming year, we don't stop moving, right? Or at least it takes a good couple of months to half a year from bottom to top here, right? So the thing I would say to keep in mind here is keep expectations conservative. I will say that though there's a very good chance Ethereum could come up here to 0.15 BTC or 0.125 in this case, like we did in the past, right? I think there's a very good chance we could reach those points, but I don't think we're going to reach it right away. And in fact, as we can see here in the last previous cycle, we had some midpoints here where there was a bit of stagnation for a couple months, about a 2-month period from March to May. And what I think is going to happen here is that we're going to continue to see ETH rally up here to 0.08 here. And again, keeping in mind here, this previous points of resistance, this kind of midpoint here between the overall cycles, right? The high here, the mid-range here before the rest of the cycle, a congestion here before we had pullback in price, previous support here. We broke down here as well. This significant line here is playing a very large role in Ethereum's price against Bitcoin. And again, 0.08 here would be a nice level for Ethereum to reach. It'd be a nice cool down point. We've broken very far away from this kind of mean here, this exponential line. Might be time to cool down and come back to the norm, right? Come back to where it should be, right? So that's what, again, we're looking at here again. And I've got a position in ETH. I want the best for ETH in this case, but I do genuinely believe, guys, being rational here, that I think we're going to be coming up here towards around 0.08 for Ethereum. And that leaves us with still an over 12 to 13% move here in ETH's price, right? A really solid move here, right? I'm not saying or bashing, that Ethereum is going to go down, nothing. But again, we've already seen that it started to capture a lot of the market weight of BNB. Right? If you take a look at BNB ETH here, the pair's gone down back to where it was back here in February of 2021. Right? And this is why, again, I want to emphasize a very critical point that I'm going to lead into here, guys, which is to never get caught 2 steps behind. Okay? I know a ton of people out there who are like myself, who are kind of on the fence about Ethereum really losing, basically, BNB basically stealing Ethereum's lunch in this case, basically stealing the stage from Ethereum. And a lot of people were about to FOMO in. Many people did FOMO into BNB. Well, if you did that anytime here in February, you'd be relatively neutral. But if you did it anywhere here within the euphoric secondary wave of BNB against ETH here in March or April, you're probably down on your money. And that's something, again, that kind of iconicizes the idea or visualizes the idea of not getting caught 2 steps behind. You missed the first rally. Don't get caught in at the top buying someone else's bags when they're converting, when the smart money is moving into the next play that's going to start moving. It's a big, big mistake I see from a lot of people. Now, it's not just BNB liquidity circulating here. Altcoin dominance is just generally growing here as well. BNB is still moving up. It's just not moving as fast as Ethereum here over the last month or two. So let's go ahead and try to digest here some rational expectations, right? So we have this idea here that Ethereum is still going to continue to gain dominance up here towards 0.08. And outside of that as well, that the broader altcoin market is probably going to follow. And that's the secondary portion here, which is that we do believe that some of that liquidity when ETH, has a temporary peak there at 0.08 or somewhere around that range. There's no guarantee it's going to top there, right? That we're still going to see altcoin dominance gain as that liquidity starts to circulate into other cryptocurrencies. And as we continue to see a euphoric rise in mid and small cap coins, which we haven't seen just yet, right? As you all know, as we've talked about on the channel, there's the crypto money flow cycle, and then my good friend Rhett Capital talks about this a lot as well. This idea of liquidity coming in from fiat currency, dollars, euros, Great British pounds, Japanese yen, Chinese yuan, coming into Bitcoin, and then eventually funneling into the large cap cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, right? And then moving into the other plays that we're going to be talking about today that I really think you guys should be keeping an eye on, right? That are going to lead towards this last leg up here towards around 60% for altcoin dominance. We've really gone through a near super cycle here for altcoin dominance, right? And if we do come up here to 60%, we'll more than have doubled altcoin dominance here in the market, going from around a low here of around 26% all the way up to 60%, which is an absolutely crazy ride, guys. But again, some of the greatest gains can be made in these last few weeks or months. In this case, it depends how long this is going to sustain up here. Usually doesn't last very long. So let's go ahead and talk about some of those plays that liquidity could circulate from, right? If we were going to see ETH have its summer cycle in this case, right? We've already kind of seen ETH rally here in the spring. What other plays in the Ethereum ecosystem and in the broader crypto space could capture some of that liquidity? Well, one of the big ones here I'm going to talk about, and I mentioned it here on the channel a good amount of times before, is Uni. Now, I'm not just here to talk about Uni because I own a large position in it. I do. I'm going to be completely candid with you guys. I've been holding my Uni position for a good framework of time. I've always told you guys about that here on the channel, right? But the reason why I think that Uni is at a good spot right now is because it's about half of where it was against Ethereum back here in March, right? You can see it had double top here and started to lose out against Ethereum as Ethereum started to build into its super cycle. And Uni kind of held towards its highs but stopped moving against Bitcoin. And along with this as well, this is a very important point here. Right slightly below 0.01 Uni to ETH, right? So one Uni token buying basically 1/100th of an ETH token. Take a look at this opening price here, right? October 2020, right? This is trading on and I can actually probably get a bit more price action here. I'll show you guys actually how to build like ratios. I think this is a good kind of starting point. I was looking at a trading pair on Kraken. So if you go here, you want to go ahead and try to get the most price history. I would say Binance is probably going to have it here for Uni. They were one of the first major exchanges to list Uniswap token. And we can also divide UniBTC by ETHBTC. Ethereum's got enough price action here to work with Uni's price history. Right? And we can see here pretty much exactly what we were just talking about, right? Again, critical resistance here in the past, made a support, and we're testing that support again, right? Now, if we do break significant below here, that might be a telltale sign that uni is going to be facing more downside and might have to rely on a lower range of previous resistance to be made a support. But overall here, this is a range where I would say to keep an eye out on uni. It's generally cheap against Ethereum. It hasn't been this cheap since all the way back since February and January of 2021, since the beginning of the cycle. So again, I would say keep an eye on this here. I think that's one to watch. Outside of that as well, we've also got one in the enterprise blockchain space, and that is Unibright. This is again one of the projects that I worked with back in 2018. And what I really like here is again these kind of longer term setups here against Ethereum. We have to be watching a good amount of these cryptos. We can look at altcoins against Bitcoin in an altcoin cycle. Most altcoins are going to be outpacing Bitcoin. That's great. But the question you need to ask yourselves here is why am I not owning a position in a why am I excuse me, let me rephrase that. Why am I owning a position in an altcoin that's probably much more speculative or risky in this case than just holding Ethereum, which is the second largest crypto? It's the same argument you make about why not just hold Bitcoin if my altcoins aren't outperforming Bitcoin. It's another additional layer of that, right? And we really want to try to kind of corner in and figure out whether or not our players are going to be outperforming here. So one potential setup that I would watch for here is this line again, as we signaled here earlier with like Uni in this case, and also with Ethereum earlier, which is this idea of using these lines that counterpoints of previous resistance turned into new support, right? And I think that this is one to watch here. We're right on this line here, as we can see here between the previous points of resistance and previous points of support. So focusing purely on a technical play here, outside of just the fundamentals, which to me are really interesting. At the end of the day, it's holding here on this line of support, and so long as it holds there and starts to rebound up against Ethereum, this might provide to be a really interesting setup, right? But again, you don't have to rush into these things, guys. Just like keep an eye as to whether or not it holds on the support. That's the important part here, to see if the technicals are still in play, right? Next up, again, just to kind of showcase here another vision is UBT against Bitcoin, holding on previous resistance here multiple times, now turning into support here, right? And starting to look like it might kick up here. But again, you want to view these charts in multiple different fashions. View it against Bitcoin, view it against Ethereum, build ratios in the way that you see fit here. And the more technical setups that look good probably means that something's good to go, right? Again, other traders are watching ratios. Another way, again, you can use, we're looking at 1 inch here against Bitcoin. It's a great example here of the same kind of principle here, right? Lines that can be made from previous points of resistance and support, previous point of resistance and resistance, now acting as support here, right? And now we'd look for a continued breakout here. 1 inch is a decentralized exchange aggregator or DEX aggregator for Uniswap, for 0x, for Sushi, for all the major decentralized exchanges out there on the market, right? So again, just really interesting stuff here to watch. I like these kind of technical setups. 1 inch is one that I don't have a position in, but I'm definitely looking to build one if it can hold on this range. So again, keep an eye on it. Another one that I have been holding into, and I think is still in the early stages here, is Litecoin. Litecoin here against Bitcoin tested near exactly at the low point it set back here in March 2017 before it had one of its super cycles, right? And we had the same kind of descending wedge setup here that eventually had a breakout. And last month we registered over 40% in gains against Bitcoin, and now 46.02% so far in May alone. In just 10 days against Bitcoin, 46%. It's absolutely incredible price action, right? And again, this is expected though. Last time around, right, we had a 94.67% gain in the first month, and then an 87.25% gain. And then after that, of course, the month came to a close, but when in reality, we actually went and doubled in this case. We had an over 100% move if you look at the wicks here on the candle. So whether or not we reach this range up here, right, which we're not 100% calling for yet, we'll have to see if the momentum continues. We're still in the early innings here, right? And that's why, again, I was badgering a lot back in April that I'm like, I'm going to my position on Litecoin, I'm holding through to it. And what's interesting here, again, as well, is that Litecoin has been outperformed by Ethereum in the short term, right? Ethereum being the second largest crypto is still leading against Litecoin. But what's interesting here is, again, we can look at the Litecoin Ethereum ratio. What's interesting is you've got back here in March and June of 2017, a double bottom of Litecoin against Ethereum. And look at what we got right here from February to May. A multi-month double bottom against Ethereum. This is going to be one of those plays that it's not in the Ethereum ecosystem, but it's going to be one you're going to want to watch for that liquidity to cycle out. For Litecoin to gain some ground against not only Bitcoin, but Ethereum. And I've got a Litecoin position. So again, this is me personally. It's one thing to try to cycle in between these plays, like having all your cards on Ethereum or all your cards on Litecoin. When in reality, the best thing to do is to know when to take profits. In this case, having diverse exposure to 2 or 3 plays, are going to probably be the first candidates to run. When one of them runs up, taking profits, circulating that into the next 2 plays, where one of the 2 is more likely, in this case, to lead the market than the play you just sold from, right? Or again, you can just hold a diverse portfolio and not sell. It really depends on tax implications, et cetera, that you want to consider, right? But again, I digress here, guys. Just to provide some context, from the first peak here in Litecoin. This is, again, you guys notice if you looking at the charts here, whether you're new to the channel or you're a long-term viewer, I'm going to echo it again. I like to view long-term time frames. I'm not here to watch the daily, the hourly, or the 5-minute chart. We're looking all the way back. This is from the single point when Litecoin started trading back in 2013 of April. All right. Take a look here at the first high here for Litecoin, around 53 bucks per coin. Set it in November of 2013. When we revisited those highs in August of 2017, it actually had a monthly close above here. It started to actually trade above this range. From this point on to the peak, we had a near perfect 600% move for Litecoin. It's a 7x in price, right? A massive move in price for Litecoin. We've just revisited those all-time highs from December 2017, and we're up only roughly around 10%. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to see a 600% move, not calling for that exactly, but even if it's a 300% move, a 200, or even the most minuscule probably of a 100% move, right, from this point on, you're talking about a lot more upside than we've already witnessed, right? Yeah, this is the conservative estimate for Litecoin to go to $736. I think it's much more likely we see something around 150 to 200% going towards around a price tag of 1,100, 1,200 per Litecoin. The altcoin cycle is still in the midst, guys. And what we're going to start to see here is not so much garner of or gain in dominance, right? Which is what I think everyone's focusing on. They're always looking at the dominance trend, thinking, oh my gosh, when this reaches up here, it's just going to absolutely immediately sell off. In reality, there are periods of time here where for multiple weeks, it hangs in this range. And you can cycle in from one coin to the other. And again, the mid caps and the small caps really start to take over. It's important to keep these things in mind, guys. There's some rules here that we can learn about from the previous altcoin cycles that can help us go a long way in our investing returns. So anyways, guys, I've rambled on a good amount today. If you like this video, please consider dropping a like. It's always appreciated here on the channel. That being said, everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.